Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a Shot of Weeb, episode 32. Dang it.
Yep, it's 32.
Good start.
Yep, great start.
As always, I'm the Epic Wob, Mistake Proke. Okay, you talk. I can't talk.
I don't even know what you were trying to say. But yeah, that's the Epic Wob. Mistake prone, maybe that's what he was trying to go for?
Yeah,
it
was.
The Seaweed ambassador. And
I've lost mastery of my language,
episode.
and I haven't even drank anything yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure this will be a great one then.
Oh yeah. So, we should probably go ahead and get said drink out of the way. I've prepped mine. What do you have? Are you still on the Tweez, or did you go to the Arnie Palmer?
No, I got Arnold Palmer's just like last week.
Gotcha. I was going to make a fancy mixed drink for myself, and then realized I'm almost out of rum and didn't have enough to make any. So I'm still got that sad watermelon Smirnoff.
Yeah. Well, let's get it out of the way. I know you hate it.
Yep. Let's go ahead and suffer, and then we can introduce and talk about our show, which I'm equally loath to really get into. Anyway. Oh, you seem shocked.
No, I'm not shocked. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it? Okay.
Kanpai.
Yeah.
Good stuff. This Arnold Palmer.
Boy, I wish I could say
Again?
the same.
Arnold
Sorry.
Palmer, sponsor us, please.
Just belched right in the mic like an animal. That's how you get good content, isn't it?
God. Yeah. That's how you do it. That's how Clowncore does it. Well, I don't think they even do that. They do some other stuff, though.
I don't even know who that is. Okay.
I'll show you Clowncore later.
So, this week was our Neither Have Watched week. We really need to find a better title for that. Neither choice. There we go.
There you go. Neither choice. I think that's what we called it before.
Oh, did we
just
actually?
stopped doing that for some reason. Yeah, maybe.
All right. Well,
I don't know.
Neither choice. There we go. So this was tabled by Seaweed. We watched KimiNozo. Ayan. Also known as KimiNozo, or the English title, Rumbling Hearts. What brought you to this show?
Yeah, so actually I have a friend, and he had recommended, or they had recommended it to me, and because I'd started reading Muv-Luv, right, which I don't think you know what that is, do you?
Oh, as per usual, I don't.
Yeah. Well, it's a visual novel. It's their favorite visual novel. So I was like, you know what? I want to bring this show on the podcast because it might be the only way that I'll get around to it semi-soon. And
I mean, fair. That's part of the reason why I've brought several of these shows up.
Yeah, but so they recommended it to me because KimiNozo is a adaptation of the previous visual novel that the Studio Age that they made. So this one came out right before Muv-Luv did. So yeah, that's how I kind of came across it, essentially.
Okay.
But I think a fair warning, before we really get into things. We'll give like a quick rundown of kind of like the basic gist, very basic gist, and then if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Just like, you don't want to spoil yourself on this show.
Okay. I'll let you do the basic synopsis thing, because I don't want to spoil things that you don't want said.
Yeah.
Because I'm on a different wavelength here right now.
Personally, I would just say don't look anything up about the show at all. I mean, so that would be my recommendation. Personally, the same with Muv-Luv. Don't look anything up about that either. So
see, I did break that rule. I researched I looked up some descriptors, so I did know the main plot hook going in.
Oh, you definitely shouldn't have done that. I had told you not to do that.
I don't
I
remember
said
you saying
don't
that.
look up. I said don't look up anything about the show. Just all you need to know is it's a romance.
I went to the Mal page to mark that I was watching it, and reviews are on the front page.
Just don't look at the reviews.
It was in front of my eyes.
Then click away. Or use AnyList,
No.
the superior platform.
Why would I use a sad platform like that? I get confused on that website.
Man, you sound like a boomer right now, buddy.
Do you realize how much work
Getting
I've had to put
confused.
into figuring out Twitter, even though I'm like less than 25? I'm a boomer. I'm a young boomer.
Yeah. AnyList is way easier than Twitter, though. But anyways, I guess I will run down a brief like synopsis, and then we'll put up the spoiler warning, and we'll get into it. Sound good to you?
Yeah, and like I said, I'll let you take this because I'm not sure what bits you're trying to avoid right now.
Yeah. So basically, I'm just gonna give you the setup here. So there's there's these two high school friends. There's a group of high school friends. Oh my god, I can't talk either. There's two girls and two guys, and one of the girls, the purple-haired girl, asks one of the guys to come meet her, and then he goes there, and the other girl shows up, and it's like, "Hey, I like you. Do you want to go out?" And he's like, "Okay." And so it's a nice.
I just the way you said it, I just think like Smash Brothers, like Ness. Okay.
That's exactly how he said it. And yeah, so they start going out, which is already different for a romance anime. Starting dating in the first episode.
Oh, right away, yeah.
Yeah, and so like, they don't have like the best relationship at first, and then some stuff happens, and they work through it and become and then they're a pretty good couple with each other. But you can see there's like seeds of some other things planting. And yeah, that's about all I want to say, honestly. If it sounds like a normal romance show, that's makes sense.
That doesn't
But
even
just
explain
trust me.
what the show is.
Yeah, I know. It is a romance anime. I really don't want to give away things because it starts the big twist happens very early on.
All right, well,
And
I won't say it until after the spoilers. I'll go with you on
Yes.
that, but I feel like personally I feel like it's requisite like to know if you're going to get into it, cuz that's like the driving mechanic of the show.
I don't know though, because I feel like you will know if like you're going to like it by probably episode 3.
I
hate to use the 3 episode rule, but
I personally don't think knowing that early twist was going to happen affected my experience viewing this. My score may make you disagree, but I don't think it did.
I will not disagree with your point of view, but if I had known that going in, I would have had a different mindset about the show from the outset, like from episode 1.
Alrighty, so I guess do you want to call the flag here and start talking like going forward? Like how are you wanting to hold this bit going?
I guess we'll just go ahead and put. So from now on, it'll be spoiler territory. And yeah, I guess that's probably the best way
to put it explicitly, because I always like to have it like openly said. Spoiler warning: if you have interest in watching this show, this is the point where we're going into uncharted land. You might hear things you don't want to know.
Yeah, and if you don't, even if you don't think you have or if you have a slight interest and just want to check it out, stop right now and go watch the show. At least try it out and then come back. Please come back.
We just have a drop in viewership, like right at this point, to 0.
Oh no!
Everyone
please.
leaves, no one comes back.
But yeah, so here we go. So where would you like to start with this then? So since I gave that very basic.
Well, okay. Well, I think I'm going to double back later for some more like detailed discussion. But to give the broad strokes of the main hook, which is technically a twist, although in my opinion this is a 14 episode series as opposed to a 12, and this happens on episodes 3. So it personally feels more like 1 and 2 are kind of like prequel episodes before the show kicks in. Is the way I see it.
I mean, it's still a twist though. Like that doesn't make it not a twist.
So
That makes sense.
I'm gonna go ahead and drop names here. Our main man is a dude named Takayuki. He's friends with Mitsuki and Haruka. He gets together with Haruka. That's the girl he starts dating. Because Mitsuki set them up. In episode 3, Haruka is hit by a car and ends up in a coma for 3 years.
Yes.
At the end of the 3 years, she wakes up, but because mumbo-jumbo reasons that I don't really think is how that works, but whatever, she doesn't know time has passed, and this is the part I personally feel is weird. The doctor will not let anyone tell her that time has passed because it would make her brain like short circuit or something. I apologize. I'm not really giving the show a very generous read, am I?
No, you're really not. Let's see. I wanted to look and see if like you can lose your memory or whatever.
Well, I'm sure you can not realize time has passed. Like I absolutely believe that part. I just think it's really, really weird for the doctor to like require that be kept secret.
Well, I don't think it's that weird. Why do you think it's weird?
Well, because I mean, the first step of being able to rehabilitate in any sort would be like a baseline information of, hey, it's this time now, so things might be different, because like there's a lot of like really obvious things, like the fact that everybody is noticeably older.
But she doesn't notice those things, which is, and also that sudden like shock of like you've missed 3 years could in that state like cause serious damage.
Yeah, but would it actually though? I feel like that's not a thing. I could be wrong. I'm not a medical practitioner, but
I mean, I feel like that could put somebody into shock. Yeah. Like, and shock is pretty dangerous, I would imagine, especially after you wake up out of a coma.
I mean, again, this is speculation. I don't know medicine, so maybe this is valid, but it feels weird to me. It feels like a forced mechanic.
See, I don't understand why, but there's no point in sticking on that little bit though. There is something you did miss, which was important. Was when she got into the accident, she was waiting for Takayuki because they were gonna meet and go to they were going to the children's book expo, right?
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah.
And so she was waiting at the station to meet him. He was running late, and then ran into Mitsuki on the way, and Mitsuki's like, "Hey, it's my birthday. You should get me a present." And so then he goes with her really quickly to get her a present. And so when he arrives to the train station, like Haruka had already been taken away, and there was just blood on the ground, her beau was there, and the cops were basically like, hey, this is who got in the accident. And that's how we find out. We don't actually see the accident happening.
Yeah, no.
And so the reason I said that was important that you missed it is because that put guilt on both Mitsuki and Takayuki, and they both thought they were the ones at fault, because if he had been there like on time, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So
so she ends up in the hospital. There's one other character that's probably worth mentioning, or two. There's Shinji is the fourth friend in the group. He is relevant in and out, like he shows up from time to time as he's needed. And there's also Haruka's little sister Akane is important.
Yeah,
more so than Shinji.
Very important. Yeah, Shinji, it was like Takayuki's friend initially. Like they were like really close together. Whereas Mitsuki and Haruka were like best friends. And then they all kind of became a group, and then But so the time skip happened, and it was 3 years, and so everybody's like adults now, because they were in their last year of high school as well.
Yeah, so this is kicking in, like Shinji went to college, Akane is now in high school, and the two other main characters both went straight into the workforce. So one works for like a sales agency, and Takayuki is a waiter now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kicks right back in after that, to the point that, like I said, where the show like starts, kind of like where it picks into the less establishing and more actual momentum, by showing like what the people are doing now in present time. And the first one we see is, I keep wanting to say Tatsumaki. Why?
I have no idea.
Takayuki. I don't know why, but that's what's sticking in my head.
Isn't that like the green-haired, like, short girl from One Punch Man?
Yeah. So actually, 4 out of the 5 characters in this show, even though I know who they are, my brain like autofills the name associated with a different character, even if it has to adjust like syllables to do that. So like Shinji and Akane are Evangelion and High School DxD, and then I keep missaying the other two as Tatsumaki and Haruhi, because Haruka also, her last name is Suzumiya, so it flows, and it's not right, but that's why I keep thinking.
Yeah. You want to know something that's kind of cool though? The person who voiced Haruhi Suzumiya actually sang the OP for this.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it has that like cool connection. And I believe she is also a voice actress, at least in the visual novel. I'm almost positive, but for a minor character in KimiNozo.
Well, that might be different between versions. I did something. Yeah. I've already talked to Seaweed about this. I've done something I usually never do. I actually watched the dub of this one, because the dub on here wasn't actually that bad. Usually I put on a dub and then cringe at it, but this one, for the most part, was pretty solid.
Yeah, it's not terrible. For sure.
So I'm going to say something that I have a feeling you're going to disagree with, just judging by the atmosphere here.
Most likely, yeah. That's what it kind of sounds like.
Episode 3 starts off, Takayuki is the first person we see in the, after the time skip. He's working in a restaurant, and there's 3 other characters there. There's his boss, who I don't remember his name, and then 2 other servers, Ayu and Mayu. Ayu and Mayu are a lot of fun, and their interactions with the boss and Takayuki, those 4, in my opinion, with my experience of the show, the sequences with those 4 in the restaurant were significantly more fun or more interesting to watch than the rest of the show.
Okay. Say, before you changed your wording...
There's a reason I changed my wording.
Yeah, because I would have agreed with you. Because, yeah, it's more fun than the rest of the show.
Well, because the rest of the show is
But,
actually
like,
serious.
Yeah. But it's definitely not the most interesting shit in the show.
I don't know. I would watch.
Like, it's nice relief from stuff that happens, but, like...
I would watch an entire sequence of just those people at the restaurant. And wouldn't you know, that's actually a thing. There's an OVA that is exactly that.
Well, maybe. You haven't actually watched it.
I read the description of it.
And
It seems to be just like skit shows of those.
Yeah, but the light art style is different, so it might not be exactly what you're thinking of.
No, but it's the same characters, dude. It's gonna be...
Mm-hmm.
You're being stubborn.
I'm just saying.
Stubborn.
That it... I'm not being stubborn. You were the one being stubborn earlier, buddy. All right, it's a good show.
So they show us that Mitsuki and Takayuki are a thing now. We don't know how that happened yet. They're talking about moving in together. Mitsuki used to be the captain of the swim team. That matters. We found out Akane is now.
Mm-hmm. And Akane had said earlier that she did that because she respected Mitsuki so much and wanted to be like her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why she's on the swim team.
I totally should have asked you this before we started recording, so I'm going to break the flow here a little bit. I think with this, it's going to be best if we just sort of like speed run through the story and then double back to things as we want afterward. Is that okay?
I don't know how that'll work exactly, though.
I mean, we're already like 4 episodes in. Like, we're doing fine, I think.
I guess.
I more mean just sort of keep the pace that we already have.
Okay. I don't know. If there's something that's relevant,
it's a very
though,
non-committal. Okay, we can do it the normal way.
Well, that's fine if we're already doing it. I will just cut in if I need to.
Oh, jeez. I didn't mean I was going to be the only one narrating.
No, I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah, because I mean, well, all right. I'm sorry. I'm having to like really follow my notes on this one. I think you guys have already gathered this show really didn't stick with me that much, so I'm struggling to make my way through here.
Yeah, oh man.
Nah, man, like I said, I enjoy a good romance anime. This one really didn't hold me. It had stuff I liked, but this wasn't my thing.
Okay. Well, before we go, can I just ask you why?
See, that's the thing, is I'm still trying to place exactly why that is. Like, I think it's kind of similar to how you were with Talentless Nana, where the first few episodes had enough going on that frustrated me to where it had kind of put me off towards the rest of the show. Like, I was still interested going forward. I wanted to know how the story resolved, but I wasn't, like, hooked. Like, if I didn't find out how it ended, I probably wouldn't have been too upset. If I was watching this on my own, probably wouldn't have made it past 3.
So what was it about those first, besides like what you said about her coma?
Well,
what was it about the first couple episodes?
There is that, but also at the beginning, like primarily episode 1, they managed to in no way make me feel like Haruka and Takayuki were like a good thing. It felt like they had no chemistry. Haruka, yeah, obviously she'd been crushing on him for a while, and that was covered, but Takayuki just sort of stumbled into it, and there was... Give me a second to gather my thoughts. I'm sorry. Again, I'm kind of struggling here. This was...
No, that's all right.
Haruka didn't seem to have much to her. For example, like the conversation where he's like, "Hey, Haruka, what kind of stuff do you like doing?" And she's like, "I have no hobbies." Like, that's a great way to make someone interesting. Or when they're like, Shinji's an absolute bro and gives him tickets to a movie so that he can ask her out. And she's like, "Oh, Well, on this day, I was planning to go to the movies with my sister, and he's like, "Oh, okay, go with your family then." And they all get mad at him for like missing the opportunity. Like, how dare you respect her autonomy? You should have put your own plans over her. Like, none of that sat right.
Okay, well,
Their
well,
relationship
okay.
did not feel natural.
All right, well, all right. I want to answer that. I want to respond to that thing first. There's another piece that you did miss though. That was kind of the point, was to make it not feel natural, because it's through the lens of Takayuki, and so he doesn't know if he wants to date her or not at all, because it kind of came out of the blue for him, and so like I don't think he really knows what he wants at all, and so it really characterizes him in that way, and then once he makes up his mind, then it becomes a lot better. Like, they have a lot of chemistry, right?
It didn't feel
And
like it to
then,
me. Like him and Mitsuki had a lot more going on. Like those two, yeah, I was a lot more invested in those two. And then Haruka, I'm just like, I don't get it. It doesn't feel like there's a thing there. These characters don't seem like they go together.
okay. See, I don't know. I can't understand that at all. But that's fine. All right, that's your point of view. I mean, I don't know exactly how to argue against it, besides like it felt good once, like, obviously not at the very beginning, because that's was the point of the way it was written, but like once he's like, yeah, no, I do like you, then it, like, they were a really good couple. So but I did want to mention what you said about the movie.
Yeah,
The movie
she
tickets.
was supposed to go with her sister, but was considering not. I still feel like that's not a good enough excuse to just interject over it.
Well, the thing is, they're both awkward teenagers. She was trying to give him an opportunity to ask him, because she'd known about it, right? He didn't know that she knew. And so when she said, but I can cancel, like, if, or whatever, I can cancel that plan, because it was just with her sister, that's why they got mad at him, but she was also awkward about it. Like, awkward about, like asking about it, because she didn't want to, like, say that she knew, you know? So it wasn't like put your plans over hers. She wanted to do it. It was more of a I'm trying to think of the best way to. They were more upset that he couldn't read what she was trying to tell him.
And I don't know. This leads into more of a bigger thing that I want to get into, but like it's that mentality of like, if you want to do the thing, don't tell them you can't do the thing. Yeah, well, whatever.
I mean, yeah, but no. I think this is interesting conversation, unless you don't want to talk about it, which is fine.
Well, I mean, I just don't know how productive it is for the podcast to talk about general relationship advice.
Well, no, because I think it goes with the show, and since we don't agree on the show, obviously, I think talking about that is like more interesting, personally.
I don't know. I specifically wrote down a note that, I mean, yes, in episode 1, less so in 2, it did develop a bit more, but episode 1 was all the foundational work. It felt forced. It felt like an unstable foundation that did not get me invested in these two. So going forward, the way I saw it, he and Mitsuki worked really, really well together. He and Haruka worked together, I guess. So, like, I didn't really see why that conflict should be much of a thing. Like, or no, I mean, I understand in theory why it's a thing, because yes, if he was like with Haruka and like super like into her. Yeah, there's a conflict, but like the foundation of him and Haruka didn't feel strong enough to make me interested in said conflict coming together.
Okay.
I think the long and short of it is the way that it feels to me, to put it in one brief sentence. I don't understand Takayuki and Haruka's relationship being as strong as it is, and therefore it feels like a shaky foundation to the show.
Interesting. Okay. Because, yeah, I mean, like I said, like, I don't know. I really liked the way that it was done because it felt like a stronger relationship to me. Instead of if they had just, like, because clearly, like, at the beginning of the show, like, it's pretty clear that, like, Takayuki and Haruka don't know each other, if they've even talked at all. You know, like, Takayuki knows Mitsuki more, right? And so them, like, so her just out of the blue, like, being like, hey, I really like you, will you go out with me, was for, like, if somebody just got asked out that way, I feel like they would be like, oh, well, I mean, I guess, you know, if they don't like anybody else, you know, it's like, well, yeah, sure, I guess I'll, you know, try it, I don't want to be rude or something, right?
Okay, see here,
And
I think
so,
this is a bit of a fundamentally different perspective, because I actually thought about that when it happened, and I was like, how would I respond if someone just walked up to me and was like, do you want to go out? My response would probably be like, shouldn't we, like, actually know each other a little bit first? Like, I don't know you. And so that's kind of more my view on it. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Again,
but
this is definitely a very, like, personal perspective issue. Like, I can see,
right,
like,
right, but
and I'm sorry, I do have one more thing to say, but go ahead and do your thing real quick.
Okay. Well, I was gonna kind of go off of what you had just previously said, because it's more than just like a stranger asking him out, because like he knows who Haruka is, and he's like pretty good friends with Mitsuki, and so there's probably more to it than just this random person asked me out. It's like, oh, one of my best friends just asked me out. I don't want to, like, you know, hurt them also by just saying, like, no, like, outright.
Yeah. And
you know, especially since she was the one who set him up and everything.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I guess, yeah, in the circumstances, I don't know. It just, and like in the second half, like once it actually becomes the whole triangle that he's trying to juggle, like when he's visiting Haruka, and like they've clearly still they've got chemistry in the second half after the accident. And
well, they had it before as well.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying is like, I feel like they were on a completely different level after the accident than they were before. It feels like a disconnect to me. Like, I feel like if the first two episodes were handled better, if the first two episodes had actually made me invested in Takayuki and Haruka, I probably would have been a lot more interesting going forward. But since that establishment didn't feel strong to me, the second half felt more like Takayuki and Mitsuki are clearly supposed to be together, and he's dipping out with Haruka. I know that's not what it was, but that's what it felt like.
Okay, well, did you... So, like, in the first... I think it was the second episode. Because I think it was the end of the first episode when he's like, hey, I do like you. Can we, like, try to start over, right? That was, like, the end of the first episode, I believe.
Yeah, after a lot of...
What did you think about their relationship after that point?
It was getting closer to something I could get behind, like especially once he met their family. Like, yeah, I can tell there's some good vibes here, but I don't know. It just didn't sit right. It just didn't feel convincing to me. Like, second episode was closer, but not quite there. But the first episode, I think that's where most of my issue comes from. It's just primarily with episode 1, and that's the kickoff to the rest of the show. Like, so having a hard time buying into the opening I wouldn't say ruined the rest of the show for me, but it definitely lessened a lot of the impact that it should have had.
Okay.
Because I will admit, there was still a lot of good stuff about this episode, or about this show, sorry. Like, I really enjoyed the dynamic between Takayuki and Mitsuki. Like, they clearly worked very, very well together, and so seeing their relationship have rocky moments because of Haruka, that was interesting. But the relationship aspect of him and Haruka didn't really sell to me, because there was a lot of bits where I was thinking, like, so the reason I'm going to step forward a little bit. His reasoning, theoretically, for visiting Haruka in the hospital so much is because she still thinks it's the day after the accident, more or less. And so in her head, they are still going out together. So since they're trying not to break her like mindset or whatever, he still needs to be there, and because that's what she thinks is up, he has to still fill that role regardless of what he thinks. There were several times where, when a lot of the conflict was starting to boil up, where Mitsuki's like, oh, you still love her. I'm like, dude, explain the situation. She still thinks we're together. Her dad specifically asked me to visit her. And also, she's remembering things because I'm there. Once she can safely learn time has passed, fill her in on the current situation, get back to Mitsuki.
Yeah, but she knew that Haruka still... that they were not telling her when it was. Like, Mitsuki knew from day one. See, I don't like the Mitsuki Takayuki relationship.
Because it started for bad reasons.
Yeah, but the whole time, like, I could never trust Mitsuki after that. Because even before knowing how it started, or like when it started, right? Like, Mitsuki's is now dating her best friend who is in a coma. Like, she started dating him. And, like, yeah, I get Mitsuki had feelings for him or whatever. But that was not... I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, that is not... Alright, like...
Yeah, and that's a trickier thing to tackle. I mean, part of me is like, yes, you were in a relationship and now she's in an unfortunate situation. But also there's the part of me that goes, like, it's been 3 years, there's no end in sight. At some point, I suppose you don't have to move on, but it's like...
Well, no, you can move on, but it's just really weird for, like, for that specific relationship. Not necessarily like a relationship in general, but like specifically him dating Haruka's best friend is weird. And I also thought at first, I was like, Takayuki, you're a piece of shit too. That was my initial reaction to that, because I was like, why are you together? Why are you two together?
Yeah, see,
like
this is where our perspective really changes, because I had that same thought about him and Haruka of, why are you together? That after the fact, once in that 3-year meantime, at some point he and Mitsuki got together, I'm just like, oh, like, he decided he needed to move on. We already knew that Mitsuki had feelings for him. That must have come up at some point, and they're together, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, it sucks for Haruka. It's an unfortunate situation, but it's one of those things that you can't really, like, regardless of how you feel about it, I don't think you can fault the man after 3 years. But to be fair, my argument gets shot in the foot a little bit here with the fact that
with a shotgun.
Yeah, with the fact that they hooked up like a month later, which is kind of like, okay.
And also that Mitsuki kind of fucking forced herself on him too.
Yeah,
yeah,
that part I'm less sure how I feel. However, I do feel like Mitsuki and Takayuki's dynamic and interactions flow so much better than his and Haruka's. TLDR, I think this entire argument is coming down to a best girl debate.
No, not really. I don't think I have a best girl in this show.
Oh, come on. Let me make a joke.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's essentially what it could be, though. Like, it's a visual novel. I'm pretty sure it had multiple roots. So,
yeah, and
you know.
Honestly, I don't think there's much more I can really say about why it didn't grip me. The long and short of it is, this story really didn't pull me in. That's kind of what the last half hour boils down to.
What I do want to know as well is, because I know you said that you've got spoiled and you didn't think. I'm not saying it is, but I want to know what you did know going in.
All I knew is that it was a love triangle set off by the fact that one of the girls was in a coma and then wakes up later. That was all I knew. I didn't know anything more specific than that.
Okay. All right. Because, I mean, the seeds for that love triangle were planted early on, too, which was another reason that initially I wasn't a fan of Mitsuki, is because even before Haruka got in a coma, like, if you remember, I believe it was in episode 2, Mitsuki had called Takayuki 3 times one night, which was most likely she was just gonna, like, confess to him, is my guess, or that's what she wanted to do. That was her goal. Whether she could actually do it if he answered the phone or not.
At what time frame was this? This
was in episode 2.
Relative to other events.
I know, I'm trying to remember. I believe it was when I'm pretty sure it was when Takayuki was, it was either when he was over meeting her parents for the first time, or they had gone back to the house by themselves.
Now, see, I will admit that this is I don't really remember the specific bit you're talking about here, but this is one of the more awkward actions that I don't agree with. And yeah, this is Mitsuki making a weird choice. She realizes we find this out later. She realized she had feelings for Takayuki, but also knew that Haruka did, and that's why she set them up, was because she didn't want to act on that and take that away from her friend.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, is a weird dynamic. I can understand her motivation. I don't know if it's weird, but you can understand in theory where she's coming from, but that is going to set you up for trouble going forward, and it did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's another place we disagree, but that's complete perspective, because I don't think it's necessarily a weird, it puts you in a weird situation. I don't know if it's a weird action to take.
Puts you in a weird situation is the more operating part there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're in kind of an awkward spot either way, because you either your friends are together now, your best friend is now happy, but you're stuck in the sucks to suck situation, or you ask him out yourself and now your best friend is like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think Mitsuki had ever told Haruka that she had feelings for Takayuki.
Yeah, she said that she had tried to kind of bury it for Haruka's sake.
Yeah. Which, I can understand that on a personal level.
Yeah, and that's also why when Haruka ends up out of the picture, that's why Mitsuki sort of, it comes to a head. She's like, this is tactless, but I've been into you for like however long. Sort of, it just sort of came out after Haruka is more or less out of the picture.
I wouldn't say that at the point that it happened.
It did happen way too early. I'm already sympathetic to it, as you've gathered. I would be a lot more sympathetic if they'd waited, like a year later or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
It seemed more a relationship that came to a head because they were both already together through mutual grief. Like she like helped snap him out of like literally a depressive like no leaving sort of state. Which that's part of why I like really think Takayuki and Mitsuki work really, really well together, is because it's clear that she was there at his side to help him out when he needed it the most. And that becomes a plot point later. He has to go through a journey of realizing that she was always there for him and he was never there for her. And I think that's what makes his like reconciliation with Mitsuki, especially after Shinji has to straight mug him outside of work. I think that's what makes that realization all the much stronger.
Yeah, to kind of lighten up the mood just slightly. I don't think I've ever seen somebody mug somebody because they got to cuck them.
That was a trip. And then it was even funnier when the manager of the store comes out and is just like, dude, chill.
Yeah.
He gets it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
Do we want to actually move forward with the review? Or did you have more to say?
Know. It's going to be difficult to just go through the rest of the show, I think.
We're never going to get through the plot. We're just going to argue like the whole time.
Well, yeah, like our opinions are so different on this.
Look, hey man, we made it through Talentless Nana. We can make it through this.
I know. I'm trying to understand your perspective as well, because like I fully can't see it at all.
Yeah,
if I'm being honest.
I mean, it keeps boiling down to the same thing. I don't buy Takayuki and Haruka. If I was more invested in that aspect of it, the rest of the show would flow so much better. This was still interesting in that, drama, these three have conflict, how's that going to resolve? But the source of the conflict didn't feel as solid as I would have liked it to be to me.
All right. Well, I want to ask you one more thing, then we can move on. Okay.
You've said that 3 times now.
I've never said we will move on. But do you think that it's possible that knowing that there was a love triangle going into the show affected that viewpoint that you have? Knowing that there was going to be another girl involved? Like, and knowing it was like, I don't know if you knew who it was or not. At all.
Kind of.
Okay.
The description I was read was like 3 friends have turmoil when one wakes up with no memory of time passing or something like that.
Okay.
It's like her coming back into their life causes strife or something like that.
But do you think that might have like done something?
Do I think that affected my opinion? No, I don't think it did.
Okay.
I really don't.
Because personally, when I was watching, I'm not accusing you, by the way.
Yeah, you are.
That clear.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not accusing you for. I'm saying that for legal reasons. You know.
The law requires I answer no.
Allegedly, no. When I was watching it, like I didn't look at Mitsuki because I didn't know anything besides this is a romance anime made by like based on a visual novel by Age. I didn't see Mitsuki as anything but a friend until she made those 3 phone calls, and I was like, there's something there. Like I feel like that she might become like a love interest kind of deal, but because of that, like, most of my focus in those first 2 episodes was on Takayuki and Haruka.
I mean, my focus was also on Takayuki and Haruka as well, because that's what the episode focused on. Like, I'm not so big brain that I was trying to piece it together. You know, I can't even pick up on obvious mysteries that are explicitly stated.
I just think.
But there was also hints
yeah.
that they were going to get together in episode 1, though, when Mitsuki called him, like, right after Haruka asked him out, like, literally the next scene. You can tell in her voice she's disappointed that it went through, and I'm like, oh, she wants in on that, like, immediately. Like, that's from the start.
See, I read that her tone slightly differently. It wasn't necessarily not disappointment, but it was more of like, I think I saw more like worry in her voice more.
Yeah, I really didn't see that. It sounded like a straight one of those disappoint. Like, did you agree to go out with her? Yes. Oh. Okay, in that case, like, it really felt to me like that was an I hoped that didn't go through so I could take my turn.
Okay.
That's more the way I saw it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's another place there that we differ, because I saw it as more of a. I'm trying to think of the right word. Like a I'm worried for Haruka. Like, there was that, like, a tinge of disappointment to it as well, but in the moment it was less of that and more of just like, don't fuck with my girl kind of deal.
See, the way I see it is it turned into that, because why would she be like, why would she have set Haruka up with him if she was immediately going to be worried, like, assuming, like, he's going to cause trouble to the point that she needs to give that warning? Like, Well,
I don't know. You know, like, you can give, like, I don't know. I feel like if you set your friend up with somebody, or, like, your friend really likes this person, right? Then, like, you're going to try your best to support them in any way you can. And if, like, you're the only way that like, your best friend's ever gonna ask this dude out, you know, and you're friends with the dude, then, like, all right, then, like, you know, you kind of just push them in that direction.
Yeah, I don't.
Is that, you know?
Most of the other points that we've disagreed on, I've been like, yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from with this one. I really don't like that. That just sounded like straight up disappointment. Like that was the point of that call, was to show that she's disappointed they're together, that she wanted in. And she pretty much says that after the fact, like later on, when she's like, hey, yeah, I set you guys up because I was interested in you and didn't want to take that away from Haruka.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that you're wrong at all. No, that's 100% what that phone call was for. But, and I'm not saying, because there's literally no way to know if your opinion can be changed from spoilers or not, right? Literally no way to know. But I'm just like curious about it, and that's what I'm not like. That's why I said I wasn't accusing you of anything. Of like, since we have such a different opinion on that phone call too, just because like my focus was on Takayuki in that scenario more so than like exactly how she was doing it. Not like I wasn't paying attention to her lines or whatever, but because I was so focused on like Takayuki, and like, because I was like, damn, he doesn't seem like he wants to be in a relationship right now, with his response of just being like, you know, Ness, okay. Like so I was like, I was more like, what is he gonna say to her, rather than like, what is she saying to him as much?
I think I can add a little bit of explanation on my part, not about the show, but on my part. But it's kind of cringy, and you would be disappointed.
I don't care. At this point, I'm already disappointed that you didn't like the show, so...
Literally from episode 1, I really, really liked Mitsuki and thought she was the most interesting character, so when that dialogue started between him and her on the phone call, I was paying a lot more attention to her half, like, seeing it as her leading the conversation, much less as Takayuki's scene, where... I was seeing it more as a scene for her than a scene for Takayuki. So I was focusing a lot more on, like, her intonation and inflection than his.
Interesting. Yeah, because I
did not know going in that those two were going to be the other part of the triangle. Like, I don't think you realize how thoroughly my mind blinks when I go in to watch something.
Yeah. Well, no, like I didn't mean like you like actively were like so she's the other one or something like that, but like just like a subconscious thing, if that makes sense, you know. I don't know. It's not something that we can figure out. I was mainly just kind of curious about it.
I'm mostly just hoping my sentences have sounded competent during this bit, because I keep getting confused with what I'm saying.
I mean, I think so. Like, it's making sense to me.
If I'm having
like,
this hard of a time keeping up, if I'm having this hard of a time keeping up, how's the audience doing?
Yeah, how you guys like this this new format we're going for, which is we just argue.
This new format where both of us go, what?
You're dumb, dude.
This feels like the blasted time travel argument again.
Okay, no. Because I will admit, during that argument, like, I was coming up with shit on the spot, and I was like, oh, fuck, does this make sense? Yeah, I'll say this shit. I was very much gone in that. I had a bit more to drink then.
Yeah,
I don't agree with everything I said in that time travel argument. Let me make that clear right now.
Well, that's okay. I didn't agree with you in it either.
Yeah, I know that, obviously, but I was still right. Time travel's dumb as hell.
Yeah, so that it's said, we're still taking our drinks light. We're still in the middle of the, like, batch recording, so I'm doing, like, half as many shots, and he's just sipping tea.
Yeah, well, it's Arnold Palmer. It's not tea. Sponsor us, please. Thank you.
Okay, buddy. Where do we go from here? We just argued the same point for like 40 minutes.
Well, we didn't necessarily argue it. We just discussed it.
At length.
I wanted to know why. Yeah, well, like, that definitely warranted discussion at length.
Well, okay, so where do we go from here then? Like, I don't think much productive would come from, like, discussing each, like, individual episode on this one. Like, we've already gotten, like, the bulk of the gist of it. Like, maybe, like, skip ahead to where things start to, like, actually go kind of south, where he's, where him and I think the big source of conflict, or not the source of conflict, like right when things start to come to a head is probably the episode where Mitsuki gets drunk and they have the like argument before she like runs off. I just said like way too many times in that one sentence.
Yeah, sure, we can start from there.
Okay. Again, I'm going a lot off of notes here because this is the other thing. This show had a lot happening in it, and I'm not always the best at keeping up with that, which is why I wrote a lot down.
It also doesn't help when you don't really care about the show, too. Yeah. I know from experience.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, if you called me on that, I was going to call you right back. I'm like, look, there's been times...
No. Yeah, Babylon and Nana, I've both been like, what the fuck? Shut the fuck up. God.
But yeah, no, that's all. Again, that's why, like, anytime Takayuki, I think, okay, here's a way I can put it. I think one of my big problems that affected my experience is that I had chosen a side.
Yeah.
I will fully admit that going in with a perspective of seeing one side as correct will affect things. And that's probably where a lot comes from.
That is probably where it is, yeah. Because, like, I liked Haruka and Takayuki's relationship. But, like, after the 3 years pass, and Haruka's... Because it's not... we don't start off at the time skip with Haruka waking up.
Yeah, we have a little bit where they're still under.
There's a bit where she is still in the coma, and through that I was like, okay, yeah, it makes sense that he's dating somebody else, not fucking Mitsuki, but somebody else. And
see, that's a bit that I disagree. Is like, if they're okay, if they're okay with him dating someone else, I don't see, or I see theoretically why Mitsuki specifically is a problem, but I don't think it's as much as a problem as you do.
Until you get the backstory.
Yeah, I will fully admit.
I wanted to add the asterisk for you.
I don't like how quickly those two picked up.
After a bit of time, I was willing to be like, okay, this is okay. Like, I can accept it. It's not my favorite thing, but I'll accept it because it seems like they're in it for, like, they actually really like each other kind of deal. Which I think was the case for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But then like shortly after that, we got into like what happened after she was in the coma, like that whole thing, and saw how Mitsuki started this relationship. Because I'm not going to say that they started it, because it's Mitsuki who started it.
Mitsuki definitely initiated.
And that's when I was on the, like, oh, fuck you, Mitsuki. Like, that's, like, I hadn't thought that until that point. I was like, that's fucked up to do that. Because for context, we haven't actually said exactly how they got together.
So
we probably should.
Takayuki was, like, mega depressed because obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Call me out if I get something wrong here.
He was going... Oh, no, sorry. Continue.
Mitsuki and Shinji are both, like, super concerned for him because obviously Mitsuki, like, is doing everything she can to, like, make sure he actually still does, like, baseline taking care of himself. And she finally takes a stand as, like, look, you need to get out of the house. We're going to the aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
They go, and he's clearly not super into it, but she is acting very girlfriendy, like awkwardly girlfriendy. I will admit that.
Yeah.
So she's like dragging him around. They go to the gift store, and she's like, "Look at these 2 mugs. They're cute. Buy them for me because I bought the tickets. It's fair trade." Blah blah blah. And these are the same mugs that we see them like using in the day-to-day once they're in their relationship years later.
Yeah. Because they are moved in together.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
or moving in together.
Not yet. Yeah. She was staying over with him a lot, though.
They're in the process of that.
Yeah.
That's one of the plot points. Is like, are they gonna move in? Are they not gonna move in?
Mm-hmm.
They go back to. Let me find my notes. They go back to Takayuki's. No, he was like, hey, like, I'm glad you brought me out and about. It did me good to get out of the house. So he like keeps wandering away for a bit. Okay, my notes are missing stuff here. I may have to have you take over actually, because it skips from aquarium. It goes from the aquarium visit back to after the time skip when Takayuki like tries to carry Haruka out of the hospital is my next note. So I'm missing the stuff in between there.
Well, that wasn't part of the time skip. That was
Oh wait, hold
prior.
on, wait, yeah, that is like
because Takayuki goes on a manic episode.
Yeah,
it's the last day of the of that exhibit.
Sorry, yeah, that is before.
He had been talking with Haruka and like We see him talking to Haruka and responding to her, and she's not saying anything. And then, like, we'd seen that progressively throughout, like at the beginning of when she'd first gotten in the accident and everything. And then he has a manic episode where he is carrying her out of the hospital, and like 4 doctors are on him, and he's just like a linebacker moving with them, you know. And then he's like, no, I promised her we'd go. She wants to go. She told me that it was okay and we could go. And all the doctors are like, no, she's can't, and everything. And one of the doctors, I believe it was Matoko, like the purple-haired doctor.
It was the main doctor, yeah.
Yeah, like Haruka's main doctor is like, no, you can't go. She won't even be able to see anything if you do go, which like snaps Takayuki back to reality. I hate that
Snap back to reality.
I was trying to figure out another word. Really was.
I was trying not to say the line, and then you did.
You didn't try very hard.
Well, no, I mean, no, I went for it after you did.
Yeah, so then Haruka gets taken back to her room, and then her parents are talking to Takayuki outside, and are like, hey, we think it's best if you don't come back. Which, like, you know, like, I understand. That makes sense. He did just try to drag their daughter in a coma out of the hospital, fighting doctors along the way.
Yeah, no, I can see that getting you asked to leave.
But then because Takayuki was already in this like manic state, then that just put him into like complete depression when he got back.
Yeah. And so
when he went back home.
Yeah, and Mitsuki has been taking on this role like the whole time of like making sure he's actually okay, and so she goes with him when he goes back home. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember if this is the same night or if it's like maybe a couple days later.
I'm pretty sure it's the same night.
Is it actually the same night? Okay, yeah. That makes it a little more awkward. They're like both clearly being put through the ringer, and Mitsuki kind of just like blurts out that like, yeah, I've been into you, and they end up hooking up, and that's where like it starts. And I think
not even that, too. Like, she also is like, look, she hasn't woken up. Like there's nobody knows when she's gonna wake up. Like,
yeah, because I think at this point it's probably been about like a month.
I think so, but there was another line that she said, that I was like, and God, I wish I would have written it down. But when she said it, I was like, that's a really fucked up thing to say to him. Like, if you could take over for a second, I can go back and find the line.
Oh no, do that. I can do my best. This is at the end of episode 5 is what you're looking for. I can tell you that much for sure.
Cool.
But yeah, no, I will fully admit that although I do think Mitsuki and Takayuki have the stronger relationship, I do agree it did start under kind of scummy pretenses. And that is one thing I don't agree with. But in the second, after having had the first 2 episodes of watching Takayuki and Haruka together, and then having the like 3 and 4 where you're seeing Takayuki and Mitsuki be together, I think the Mitsuki dynamic just flowed so much better, and that doesn't necessarily hold. I think I did say this already as well, but like in later scenes after Haruka wakes back up and Takayuki is like there having to like play at being in a relationship with her, they do have a good dynamic. Like, clearly they get along like really, really well. It didn't feel the same to me. And granted, part of that might be because Haruka is in the hospital. Like, she's the one who needs people there for her at the time. So like there's not going to be as much give and take. There's only so much she can do in her situation, whereas I think seeing Mitsuki and Takayuki being able to, in a sense, be there for each other in the day-to-day helped me really cement, like, my opinion of wanting those two to stay.
Yeah. I did find the line.
How bad is it? Are you gonna make me cringe?
Maybe. So it starts with like, she's not answering despite all we've done, which, okay, that's all right. That's something that I think is helpful to say. But then she continues and says, she's not answering. She's not answering despite how much you think of her. Which is such a shitty thing to say.
That is a bit of an ouch.
That to me, when I was watching this bit, I was like, oh, she fucking manipulated him into a relationship. That was my reading of that. By saying, like, it doesn't matter how much you think of her, it's not gonna help her. So instead, it almost felt like there was a second, like, clause to the sentence that was, so you should think of me instead. Especially because when, like, you know, right after she says this, she basically, not even basically, she just kisses him out of nowhere. So it really felt like she was, like, manipulating Takayuki to do what she wanted him to do rather than actively trying to help in the situation.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
I will admit, despite being in agreement, in my view, being in agreement with the Takayuki Mitsuki relationship being stronger in the day-to-day, I do not like the way it started. I am completely fine saying that.
Oh, yeah.
More of why I think it works, though, is seeing, like, especially the bits of them before Haruka wakes up, because that's when things start getting really janky. That's when the triangle really kicks into gear.
Well, that's when there is a triangle.
Well, yeah. But, like, seeing the relationship that they do have as they're just, like, hanging out at his apartment and so on, and the fact that they've been together for almost 3 years at this point, clearly they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, no. And I will give you a little bit on those first 2 episodes, because I think because it's a 14 episode show, and it was based on a VN, obviously the VN is going to give you a lot more context as to, like, everything that's happened, but also, like you said at the start of the episode, how you felt like the story didn't really start until after the time skip. Like, it felt like some of Haruka and Takayuki's initial relationship was, like, a little rushed. Like, I can see how that could, like, you know, make things seem not as real, I guess. Yeah. I don't know the right way to put it. But or, like, they don't have as good of chemistry because of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're seeing where I'm coming from. Now, to be fair, I do want to make it clear that when I say the first 2 episodes were, like, before the series starts, quote unquote, I'm not saying that is a bad thing. It is context that is needed, but it definitely does feel like context that was stuck onto a full 12 episode drama. Now, it's necessary, it needs to be there. It felt kind of separate to me.
And I didn't, you know, feel that way at all about it. Like, where there was a couple times where I was like, okay, this is going kind of quickly. I was, you know, to me, again, like, it felt like a good relationship, and it kind of got me like, well, what's gonna happen? You know, at the couple points where it felt like really fast, it was less of a, like, wow, they're really like speeding through the relationship. Like, it doesn't feel like as real. It was more of a, what is this leading to? Rather than, like, what is, you know, like rather than, like, a what is, what's the phrase? Oh yeah, rather than just like being like, oh, the production team got rushed and had to like skip some bits. Because I didn't even think of that first episode or the second episode. I didn't even think about Haruka getting hurt until the ambulance, like you heard the siren taking somebody away when Takayuki finally got to the train station.
Yeah. And see, because I had read that, I did know. I mean, I didn't know for a fact it was going to be Haruka getting in an accident. I didn't know when it was going to happen, but I was like, that's probably coming up soon. I did figure she was the one who was going to get hurt. It was probably going to happen. I mean, honestly, I expected it in episode 1, so the fact they got a second episode kind of threw me for a bit of a loop there. And I do like the dynamic between Takayuki and like the rest of not Mitsuki, Haruka's family, like the Suzumiya group with him. That felt fine. Like from the point where they met Akane and then went over to her house, yeah, that went cool. It's just from the start of it, it felt. I do also have a note that Haruka had been a little bit creepy because when they like met up, she was just kind of like, I know this is your like favorite location. I've been watching you since we met in the library, and I'm just like, okay. And then she's like, can we go out?
No, I got that too.
And she's like, can we go out? And he's like, I guess so. And she's like, cool. And I'm like, this ain't right, man. None of this is right.
Well, that's why I had that's why I think I understood also more of his like pause to say like yes and kind of like keeping a bit of distance even when they started dating, because I was like, that was really like weird that she just kind of out and said like, yeah, I know this is your favorite place, dude, that's why that's why we're meeting here, because it's your favorite place, right?
And so that first bit of her already being weird about it and him already being kind of hesitant about it, mixed in with right after that her not being able to give an answer on a thing she's interested in doing in her spare time at all of that together, I'm like, why are you guys a thing? She has nothing going for her. She is just watching you, and that's it.
Yeah, I do want to defend that statement that she says, but I also will clown on it because one, I think it's pretty funny comedy when, like, you know, if you ask somebody like, hey, what do you like to do in your spare time? I don't know. I just kind of do nothing, you know.
I just stare at the wall for 6 hours a day.
Yeah, like I like to look at the carpet. That's my hobby.
I'm not gonna act like it would solve everything in the show if she had listed a hobby, but by golly, it would have helped.
But here's my other defense of that. I believe that she was embarrassed about her actual hobby. Because, like, if I was in high school and my hobby was writing and drawing children's books, yeah, I probably wouldn't tell anybody that either.
Yeah, but she literally tells him later on the same walk. Like, at the end of that walk, she shows him her collection. The walk at the conversation where they... I'm pretty sure...
He did not go into her house. No, the first time he saw her room was when
Akane
like,
shoved him into her house. Wasn't that the same walk home when they had the hobbies conversation?
No. Akane... No, that's not when Akane... That's the first time he sees her room and sees that she has all the children's books is the second time he goes to her house. Because like, they're alone at the house... And she's like, you want to, like her parents and stuff aren't home. And she's like, do you want to come in for a bit? And he's like still kind of awkward about it. He's like, yeah, sure, I guess. And then like they open the door and he's like, wow, your room is like really cute, I think, something like that. And she's like, no, please stop staring at it. Which is like, that's the first time she was there. When Akane shoved him into the house, it was to eat dinner with them.
Yeah, and that was really good. Akane's a lot of fun.
But also, that was also not the same time that question was asked. He asked her that question on one of their walks home. One of the walks home. God almighty. Mm-hmm. On one of their walks home, before he was like, it was during episode 1, because it was before he's confessed to her that he actually did like her.
Oh wait, no, you're absolutely right. Hold on, these are
Yeah.
notes within 2 different episodes.
You've combined 3 separate events into one thing.
Look, these first few episodes did not grab me. I will admit, I did start to get interested in the second half once the drama was like actually rolling. It was the establishing episodes that just didn't do it for me. And that lack of interest in the early segment hurts the rest of the viewing going forward. I will fully acknowledge that.
And I will not blame you either for it, because you had already chosen a favorite character, which is why I do recommend people go in without knowing anything.
I mean,
especially after watching it.
I have a habit of picking favorite characters anyway. I'm going to talk a little bit. You know, my favorite dumpster fire is Domestic Girlfriend. When I watch that show, I know who I think the correct choice is. But I am still interested in the relationship and dynamic he has with the other girl. Whereas I didn't feel that in this one. I had the correct choice that I wanted to see, but wasn't invested in the other half of the conflict, and that's where the problem lies.
But, okay, well, I've never seen Domestic Girlfriend.
Yeah,
in
you
that
should.
Show, okay, buddy. In that show, like the first episode or 2, does it focus on the other girl, or does it focus on the one that you thought was the correct choice?
Both, actually. They are both given pretty even airtime in episode 1.
Okay. That's a major difference with this show, because Mitsuki doesn't have a major focus. She probably has as much screen time as Shinji does in the first 2 episodes.
Well, I think that's literally correct, because she only shows up in one scene that Shinji doesn't also show up in.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You had a favorite girl at the start, and then when she wasn't as prominently there as often. That's why I don't know if it's necessarily fair to compare it to Domestic Girlfriend, when they had similar air times at the beginning. If that makes sense? Or similar screen time at the beginning.
I suppose. I was just pulling an example. Pretty much every time I watch a show that has a romance plotline, I will have picked a favorite but still care about the others to see how their portion develops, whereas I wasn't interested in the other portion in this one. It just didn't feel as well fleshed out as the other side.
Yeah, and that's where we just fully disagree, because I think it was very well fleshed out, but we've already had that conversation once today, and we have been talking for a while.
We've been talking for a long time.
It is time for our 3/4 way break.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a quick break, and we will be back shortly. Hey, welcome back to Seaweed and Wob Argue About Romance Anime.
Oh jeez, I was still trying to get the peanuts out of my teeth.
Well, maybe do it faster, buddy. So yeah, we're talking about KimiNozo still. We had a long discussion in the break about a lot of stuff.
TLDR, we still don't agree with each other.
Yeah, and our opinion hasn't changed at all. So
this is the problem when you have 2 very stubborn people trying to register arguments with each other.
Yeah, and one of them is always right and knows it, and the other also thinks he's always right. Sometimes that's me. I've been in that position.
I was about to say, I'm trying to figure out where the best roast is here, and I wasn't quite sure which direction to go on that.
Oh, I was just going to say, also, today we are both think we're right, and we're not budging, because we are probably both right, because it's just, this one is actually an opinion. Not who the best. This isn't no objective question who is best girl.
Oh, so. Yeah, no, there's always correct answers in the best girl debate, but this is.
Yep.
I feel honestly, I need to think back to my film class training. Honestly, this is probably some of the disagreements we've had, involving the nature of spoilers or how well a setup establishment is done. I feel like this is the kind of thing. Especially the spoilers argument that you guys don't know what we're referencing to because we didn't record it.
I mean, half of the first half of this episode was we didn't talk a lot about it, but not specifically the one you're talking about. Yeah, you guys got a taste. We really went in depth.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that you could actually have like an area of study. Like you could probably like legit write a paper on what we're arguing right now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But we do need to take our drink.
Okay, good. I am recording. I just had like this freak out. I'm like, wait, is it actually going or?
Oh, thank God. All right. Well, let's take a drink. Are you prepared?
Yeah, I poured it like an hour ago.
Okay. I wasn't. I couldn't remember.
I also I need to try to be quieter because we're recording this at 2:30 in the morning.
Gang,
so
gang,
my
dude.
roommates are asleep.
Oh man. All right. Well, come by.
Go by. Ugh.
Yeah, my roommates are asleep too. But they know. It's also Friday. They don't have work tomorrow. So.
That was like so wimpy. I tried to crush the can and all I did was look pathetic.
I was gonna say that's gonna be great for our audio listeners.
There was still soda. It's on my shirt now.
Oh my God.
I regret everything.
Okay, so where are we? We talked about a lot of stuff during that break, but we never just figured out where we were going to actually start this episode.
I don't.
That's why we started talking.
Okay, so there's two different points where Akane, not Akane, Haruka wake up. The first time she wakes up, things are fine for a couple of days, and then Akane gets upset with the fact that Takayuki is kind of juggling two girls in this situation, and it ends up with her blurting out that it's been 3 years, they've hooked up, I'm not even in middle school. And so...
also, I do want to clarify, it has been more than a couple of days between her waking up and that happening.
I don't know the exact time frame. Either way,
it was a decent amount of time.
Maybe like a week or two.
Yeah. Which
either way, Akane ends up getting upsetty with the situation, spills the beans. Haruka immediately passes out and ends up in intensive care. She wakes up again later with no memory of having woken up the first time. And so, in the meantime, I'm just giving like a really brief, like overall summary.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Mitsuki and Takayuki break it off with each other. So he's like devoted himself back to Haruka. Akane finds this out at the same time Haruka does. And he's like, look, yeah, we did date for a bit in 3 years. Because the second time she wakes up, she remembers that time has passed. She does not remember the first wake up. So they're able to talk about how things have changed. That's actually part of how she realized was Haruka was like, my hair is long, my fingers are spindly.
Well, the initial way she realized is because Takayuki
he did slip
book.
Up. Oh right.
He bought her the book that he was going to give her on the day that she was in the accident. Found another copy, bought it, and then she saw the published year, or maybe she'd seen like when it was printed versus the published year, or just like when it was printed or something, and was like, it's not that year. And then she was like, that's weird. And then she started asking questions, and Takayuki slipped up. No, Takayuki did slip up before that.
He slipped up like before, yeah, like in the previous episode.
Like,
he was like
initially, yeah, because
he accidentally said something along the lines of like, "Oh, it's almost like when we used to hang out years ago," and she's kind of like, "Sorry."
No, he says like in the old days, because he didn't say a year, or maybe he did in the dub.
I think he said a few years ago. I think that was the phrasing.
Okay. Because I know in the subtitles that I had, it was like, yeah, we can hang out like we did back in the old days. And she's like, the old days. He's like, well, it just felt like so long.
Yeah, he doubled it back the same way.
Yeah, and so she didn't like really. I don't think that one like really, stuck. I think it was more like the book when he gave that to her. She's like, this is fucked up.
Yeah. So the second time through, she remembers the time skip, and they start like actually like gathering information. There's a lot of back and forth again on which girl Takayuki is going to end up with. There's a lot of willy won't he. Like, he ends up with Mitsuki again, but then calls to Haruka in his sleep, but then like confesses to Mitsuki, but then breaks up with her to hang out with Haruka. It's just wibbly wobbly. Romance drama, typical soap opera stuff. I think it's hilarious that I had been describing the show as a soap opera to my friends because it has very soap opera energy, to the point that I got a real laugh out of it when, in one of the episodes, Ayu and Mayu, which if you haven't gathered are my favorite characters, when Ayu and Mayu were just like, oh, I want to listen in. This sounds just like a real soap opera. And I'm just like, even the show knows.
It doesn't have that overacting that soap operas do, though.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
fair.
But I see the vibes.
Dude, have you ever seen
the vibes?
Have you seen any clips from like Bollywood soap operas? Like, they're hilarious.
No, I've seen like the Spanish ones though.
Those
are
probably similar.
Funny. Yeah.
No, man. So yeah, this is we're past that. Part of the bit where he and Mitsuki are like getting close back together. There was a cold being passed around. Akane had it. It hit Takayuki really, really badly, to the point that he passed out, like from the cold. Mitsuki finds him at his apartment and like starts taking care of him. And while he's in his fever delirium, he calls out to Haruka, and I'm just like, oof, ouch! I felt that in my bones.
Yeah, but I think they were broken up at that point, weren't they?
Yeah, they were at the very least on like a very rocky point. Like, she had stormed out previous. That when she found him on the floor like super sick, they hadn't spoken in a couple of days. She sort of explains what was going on to him. She had hooked up with Shinji in the meantime. Shinji did not instigate. Mitsuki did 100%.
Didn't Shinji even tried to stop at one point, I think.
Yeah, Shinji had actually...
Mitsuki was like, no.
She was trying to hook up with like a random person she met at the bar, and Shinji was like, dude, you're drunk. What are you doing? And he brought her, I assume, back to his place to sort of like keep an eye on a friend who's going through a rough time, and she initiated on him.
Sober up
and things led. And so she tells Tatsumaki,
Takayuki.
Pardon me while I name
no Tatsu.
Pardon me while I name every incorrect character in anime. She tells him that like, hey, I hooked up with Shinji. Don't blame Shinji. I did it because I was trying to break free by sabotaging the relationship so that I would get away from the guilt. I need to leave. And then pieces out, and that's how it like ends. How their relationship ends, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So they each individually tell Haruka that they had been together and aren't now. Haruka gets like super angry at Mitsuki for the situation, but it's more because she's angry at herself and sent Mitsuki away so she wouldn't catch on, something like that. But after that conversation, she's like super determined to like go through her rehab like really, really fast and starts recovering super speedily. I don't have much else to say before the final episode. Are we ready to go to final, or do you have something else to say?
Well, okay, yeah, no, not quite. I mean, she's not like exactly like recovering very quickly, because they show us that like she's doing well, but she also can't really move her legs.
Yeah, and she's like super upset about it.
And
But either
yeah,
way, she's
and
reaching the rehabilitation period significantly faster than expected.
yeah, like she's able to almost stand up, and she can like move herself on the like thing, but she's using her arms a lot to like support her weight.
Yeah, she still
too.
has little to no motor control of her legs yet.
Yeah. And so she's like getting wheeled around in a wheelchair and everything, but still she wants to be independent too. And so like even when Takayuki's like, hey, do you want me to like, here, I'll push you back to the room, she's like, no, I got it. And like then yeah. So she's finally like getting back on her own feet kind of deal, figuratively and literally. You know. But then also there was a point with Mitsuki and Takayuki, which we kind of mentioned earlier, where Mitsuki got angry at Takayuki for like going to see Haruna every day and like keeping up like the facade of the relationship, like, which I can kind of see her point, but also not really.
Yeah, that's exactly the same boat I'm in, actually. Like, yeah, I can get why she would feel, like, insecure about that, but also, like, given the situation, why he's doing that. But also, we as the viewers know that he's clearly not just acting at this point, and he's still, like, falling into it.
Which, also, I still sympathized, I think, more with Takayuki. Because at that point we did learn like how their relationship had started. So
yeah, but also at that point they had been going for 3 years strong. It feels a little weird to slip out of it in my thoughts there.
Maybe, but I don't know. It wasn't just like the girl had just kind of like left on a trip and then returned out of nowhere. Like she'd always been there, and now he was allowed to go see her again. I don't know. We don't need to have that discussion anymore, though. But what's important about that bit, though, is that for some reason, Mitsuki brings it up when, like, during sex, I'm pretty sure. Or, like, when she's trying to, like, she's trying to initiate that, at least. Because, like, they both almost have no clothes on. And,
yeah, I mean, that's pretty normal.
But, well, not in this show.
This show has actual titty in it, dude.
There is, yeah. But it's during this part, and it's only Mitsuki, so, like, It
is only ever in Mitsuki, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only in this one scene.
No, there's at least 2 instances. But they were both Mitsuki.
Not full nipple.
Yeah, no, I have full confidence on this. Shut up.
I don't like how confident you are on this one point. Regardless... she for some reason she like brings that up, and then Takayuki gets up and puts on a shirt and says, "So all I have to do is not see Haruna anymore, right?" And walks out the fucking door.
Ah, you did it that time. You got a name wrong.
Oh, fine, Haruka.
At least I'm not the only one.
But anyways. So then like we see him, I don't remember exactly where he went. Oh yeah, he went and bought like cigarettes and tried to smoke them, and that didn't work.
Yeah, immediately realized, wow, I don't like these.
Yeah, so then he's just like being depressed in the park, but then we keep cutting back to these scenes of Mitsuki where she's like on the bed crying, and I just couldn't feel bad for her. I was like, damn, you really did this shit to yourself. You made your bed. Now lie down in it. Quit crying into the fucking blanket.
See, I mean, I didn't follow the specifics quite as well. I was more caught up in the overarching, this is a shit situation that they are all having to deal with. And so the amount of strain that has to be on each of these characters is absurd. So, like...
Oh, I'm not saying, like, she wasn't, like... there was no like straying.
I'm not saying
like,
you said that, but
I know, but I'm just saying, as the viewer, could give less of a shit about her at this point in time, after all the like the shit I've kind of seen her do, with not a lot of redemption around it. You know, until like she gets a bit later.
So,
like it, but you know.
Do you have more, or may I go into the final episode? Because I do actually have a lot I'd like to say on the final episode.
I know. I'm trying to make sure.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Do you have more before I start talking?
And that's why I'm saying I'm trying to make sure. You know.
Come on, let us generate more filler content.
I know. That's why I'm saying I'm trying to make sure. No, I don't think so. I'm sure something will come up during the ending though that will remind me. So
yeah, okay.
Let's go ahead.
So I do have a lot to say here, which means I'm going to be talking a lot. Literally, tell me to shut up if you have a thing to say, because otherwise I'm just going to keep rolling.
No problem with that, boss man. No problem at all.
So episode 14. One thing that has been trying to be having to go to.
Damn, are you trying to tell me about your dream, dog?
That they, particularly Shinji, have been trying to get into Takayuki's head is that, Mitsuki has, always been there for you, and you have returned none of that and not been there for her. So he starts to, really realize that. He goes to visit Haruka?
Yes.
I don't know why I forgot the name now of all times.
Yeah, dude, you
well,
messed
no,
up
it's
the
because
name.
it's because you just said Haruna, which is also another character from a show I recently watched, and so my brain was now trying to say Haruna. He goes to visit her one more time, and this is the bit that I think is the most well done in the show. I thought this was really, really impressive. After a little bit of discussion involving, her feelings, Mitsuki's feelings, so on, she starts reading or quoting the book, the rare book that Takayuki had sought out for her. She starts reading Miles' Gift. I don't know what the actual title was. In the English dub, they gave it a different name. It was Miles' Gift.
Okay. I don't remember what the title was.
But basically, she starts telling the story of a fairy that had lost her memory, but hung out with another group of friends, and they had good times and whatever, but they aged differently. The friends grew up, moved on, went forward, only one remained. When the fairy remembered what their ability was, it was to give the gift of final parting words. This whole thing being a mirror to the actual show, with Haruka being said fairy, aging differently in that she straight fucking missed 3 years. Only having one friend left, being just Takayuki's the only person there by her side, other than family, anymore because of all that's gone down. And then she brings in the parting words. She's like, I think the person that I fell in love with apparently 3 years ago, you've changed, you're not him anymore, you've got your own things you need to do. I'd like to give that gift of parting words. We should part with a smile and move on about our lives. And so having this book that has been probably the closest thing to a B plot that this really has, I would say, being revealed to be a mirror of the A plot, I think was actually a really, really good design decision. I think it was really a really good payoff to hear the story and see how that follows the story we just watched. I really appreciated that. So they part ways, they leave each other. It's sad. And he goes hunting down Mitsuki to be like, hey, I fucked up. You've been there for me all this time. I've not returned the favor. I want to stay with you. And they do that. And so that's how it officially ends, is with Takayuki and Mitsuki getting together, and then we get an epilogue where Haruka has written another children's story, which is also a mirror of what she's been through.
which she had. It was a fulfillment of a promise that she had made in episode 2.
Fill me in here. I'm not sure what you refer to here.
Yeah, I know. I figured because you kind of lumped one of this scene in together with a bunch of others.
Oh, did I actually?
Yeah, it was when she had invited Takayuki into her house when her parents and everything were gone.
Oh, was it the wish that they repeated like a bunch of times?
No, not that. It wasn't the spell. It was he was looking. He was like, "Wow, you collect a lot of children's books." She's like, "Yeah, that's what I want to do. When I grow up, which is why I'm going to go do child psychology or whatever."
Oh,
and he's
wow!
like,
I don't even remember that being mentioned at all. What the heck?
Yeah, that was a pretty big thing. And then so then he's like, "Well, you should write a book about the 4 of us when that day comes, like when you publish books and stuff." And that's exactly what the story is. It's a book of the 4 of them.
Okay, I'm going to apologize to you. I don't remember that conversation. Episode 2 was the episode I struggled to be invested in the most, so I probably just missed that.
And I think if you would have been able to be invested in it, then oh man, we wouldn't have had as many issues. But that's a different discussion for later.
Well, I blame episode 1 for that. Anyway.
I blame you knowing the twist. Anyway.
Boy. But yeah, so that's how it ends off. She's a published author. That's Takayuki.
Well, it's not exactly
Haruka,
how it ends.
And Mitsuki are a thing. Oh, what else?
Well, Takayuki and Mitsuki are a thing.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said Haruka and Mitsuki were a thing. And I was like, that's not what happened.
Plot twist.
No, the final one of the final shots is while she's reading the story out loud. Well, part of it is she's reading it, and part of it you have to read it yourself, at least in the subs.
Yeah, because Akane was reading over the manuscript, and so we get views of the manuscript pages. Yeah,
I didn't know if they had changed that at all in the dub or not, or if they just put text on the screen.
Well, they did. It starts off with her narration, ends with her narration, but in between, in the silent part of the credits, they just had a text translation.
Right, okay, that's the same as in the Japanese then. But later, as the story progresses, we start to get shots of our 4 main characters, what they're doing now. And then the last bit is Haruka standing at the tree on the hill, which was Takayuki's favorite spot, and where she confessed to him. And then she looks behind her and smiles really big, because obviously all 3 of them had shown back up.
Yeah, the implication, was the 4 getting back together, because that's also what the story manuscript was the final shot, was all 4 of the ferrets coming back to hang out.
Yep. And so it ends on a happy note, instead of where it was before, where Shinji was probably not really talking to many of them.
Dude, Shinji was upsetty with the entire situation.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Because I mean, he could also I'm sure he was struggling too with the fact that one of his friends was in a coma, but he also has things going better for him. He's in a relationship, he's going through college. But Mitsuki is clearly being put through the ringer to the point that she hooks up with him, even though she's in a relationship. Takayuki, he's having to watch on the sidelines as Takayuki doesn't really devote himself to either side, to the point where he catches Takayuki after work and punches him in the face for it. Because he goes to give him a bro talk of dude, stop toying with them, and the guy's like, I'm not good enough, and then Shinji's like, you idiot, punch.
Yep. And that's how the old I don't know if it's a saying, whatever, 2 guys, all it takes to figure it out is just a punch to the face, and you'll work through it all.
So I'm not condoning the violence here, but as far as methods behind the actions, as well as a lot of other stuff he does in the show, Shinji is such a bro. I love that dude.
Yeah, I condone the violence in this case because
I won't deny its efficacy.
it works, and also Takia needed that. Good lord.
Yeah, because he was pretty much just like sinking himself into work and trying not to acknowledge it at all. Because it also took like several different sources telling him to be like, hey, stop and actually do something about it. Because like one of the nurses, he ends up hanging out with one of the nurses outside of work, and she gets onto him from running away for situations, so she doesn't even know about the whole Mitsuki thing.
Yeah. And saying then before, so like before that final shot of the show happens, everybody is pretty much split up except for Mitsuki and Takayuki, but I'm sure they're not having the greatest time right now since all of this shit just happened. But so then you get to, you see everybody came together at the end to like and stayed friends, which is it's a nice scene. It's a nice way to end the show, I think.
A good little tie it in a bow.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
So is there anything else that you think needs brought up before we start giving like our final little dissertations about the show?
Yeah, sure, because I've been saving it this whole time.
Oh no.
Because I know you're gonna yell at me about this.
Oh no.
But Ayu and Mayu
are the best.
I could take them or leave them.
They were my favorite part of the show.
Like, they could be replaced with other characters that filled the same role, and I really wouldn't care.
I think Ayu, Mayu, and the nurses were all like excellent side characters, to the point that I was as excited to see them as I was main cast.
I like Moto. I like the doctor. Is that who you mean by the teacher? Or
I didn't say teacher. I said nurses, but I will count the doctor in with that too. She's really good too.
Okay. Yeah. No. You did. I'm just dumb as hell. The doctor, I really love. The nurses were alright, but like Ayu and Mayu, to me, like, their scenes were very important in how the characters were used, but the characters themselves,
they are very much the comic relief in an otherwise heavy show.
Yeah, I couldn't really care about them specifically. Like, it could have been replaced with not any other comic relief. I want to make that clear, because I don't want like some just dumb, really stupid comic relief,
the Jar Jar
like DreamWorks comic relief. I don't. God Almighty. No, I don't even like Star Wars, and But yeah, that's my hot take that I knew you wouldn't like, so I saved it for last.
No, I loved Ayu and Mayu. They're so good.
Yeah. But also, I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite character either.
That's fair. I honestly don't think I'd be able to say one either, although if I were to wager a guess, it'd probably be Mitsuki. Although I do also think she is less interesting in the second half than she was prior to the time skip, because again, I mean, because of the situation that's happening, they're going to be acting quite a bit different. So like back when everybody's still like super carefree, that kind of energy that Mitsuki had was super, super fun.
No, I liked her energy in the first part. I liked her a lot more in the first part. Just because she wasn't just like a piece of shit.
Well, I mean, I think a big part of it, though, for like a lot of it is that there is just like a lot of melancholy in the second half, and warranted too.
No, yeah, no. I love the melancholy too.
But
I love that.
I think I will wager out a favorite character. It is either going to be Mitsuki or collectively Ayu and Mayu. I don't know if that's cheating.
No, I don't care. This is our show. We make the rules. No, because like I just don't know if I like Takayuki Haruko or Akane more. Like that's
Akane
probably my
is
top
also
three.
really, really good.
Yeah, they're probably my top three, with Motoko and Shinji very close behind.
Motoko, which one was that again?
That's the doctor.
Oh, the doctor.
She's the doctor. Yeah.
I do think the nurse that sticks around to the second half, I already like kind of liked her. I can't really say she's a favorite because like she doesn't really do much, but then she got a scene where she's like actually a person and not just the nurse. Like they get that scene where she has like an actual conversation with him. I'm like, ah, dude, humanizing an employee. I like that.
Is that Fumino or Fumio?
The character list doesn't show, and I don't remember her name. It was so there were the two nurses that worked the counter. There was a taller one with like longer pink hair. The other one disappears partway through the show. There's the one that stays longer and then has coffee with them.
I'm not sure. I did send you a link though that has all the characters.
Yes,
and
I'm looking at that link and it doesn't list all the characters.
well, you have to go to the characters tab.
I was on the I wasn't on the characters. Wait, it was the characters page. Why did it not show all the characters?
I didn't send you to the characters page.
It looks like it was Fumio.
Okay. Yeah, she was pretty good, too. Not I do prefer the doctor more, but yeah, she was good. And also like Haruka's parents are cool.
There are 0 characters in this show that I dislike.
There is like 3/4 of a character in this show that I dislike.
Yeah, I'm not so fond on Azuse either.
No, I'm talking about Mitsuki, dog.
Yeah, I know.
But, all right, well, you have anything else you want to go to final thoughts?
I don't think so. I think I'm ready for final thoughts. Which order should we do it this time?
Do you want to end on a like a really like high note, or do you want to
end on a
really,
positive note? I'll go ahead and go.
Okay.
I didn't dislike the show? Question mark. I feel like it did not have the impact I would have liked it to. There were really good characters in the show, except Haruka, and I liked that.
Bullshit.
Look, I'm just gonna be upfront. You're gonna hate me for this. Haruka is the character I like the least in the show. She is the least interesting out of everybody else that appears in it. And that's was my biggest problem, was that one of the two major romantic leads in a show based around a love triangle was not remotely. I'm looking like completely away from the camera. I'm sorry. I need to get out of that habit.
I was waiting for when you were just going to turn around backwards, honestly.
No, I have that habit of like when I'm gaming on my own, I will like turn sideways and lean over like this. So like my body's facing this way and I'm turned. That's probably why my posture's terrible. Yeah, no, because I couldn't get invested in Haruka as a character, that's why the entire narrative fell short for me. The show has good stuff there. I was interested in the drama. The source of it for me is that one of the most major characters didn't pull me in. And as such, the entire narrative felt weaker to me than I would have liked. Otherwise, the art is good. The sound was plenty fine. Granted, I don't know if the dub changes other sounds in it as well. Like, I don't really know if it's an entirely separate track or if they just change, like, vocals over background. I don't know how that works. But it sounded completely fine. Part of me wants to gripe about the style because, old show bad. This is from 2003. But, no, I don't have any issue with the way it looks. This had all of the makings of the good show, except for being able to draw me in because of, in my opinion, a weak character. As such, This is going to get a very middle of the road score for me, tending towards lower. John's going to shoot me for this. I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. Would I recommend it?
Oh, you motherfucker.
Would I recommend it? Probably not. But honestly, people who aren't me might have a better time with it. Like, we are about to get a glowing review from the other person in this chat.
You're goddamn right.
I'm not going to pass it around as one I was particularly impressed by. I thought it fell short, personally.
You know what I think falls short?
Me?
Your fucking rating.
Yeah.
Because this show is so well crafted that you understand who the characters are in those first 2 episodes, and then we get a shift into where they're at in life, and our perspective gets changed, and we get a big love triangle that, you know, might not have even been a thing, which is, it's really interesting. And seeing, you know, all of, like, adults deal with this is really refreshing to see. And I don't like Mitsuki, but that's the point, I think, too, is that you're not supposed to really like her. Like, she's supposed to be kind of like the villain, you know, quote unquote, but, like, I don't know, like, I think she does her job well, and by the end, I did, like, she was kind of redeemed for me. Like, I was kind of like, okay, she looks like she's actually gonna try and get better, like, work on herself and all that, you know, all that fun stuff that characters do. And I thought that all of the character interactions were great. A lot of it felt natural to me, and their motivations made a lot of sense as to why they were doing certain things, because they're dumbass teenagers at the beginning, and then they're dumbass adults in the second half. So, you know, I can relate.
That's just what going into adulthood is realizing that, crap, I have no idea what anything is.
Yeah, that's just living. But yeah, and then on top of that, the art, phenomenal. I love the character designs. I'm gonna you know, roast you a little bit here, because it does look like a bit of an older show, but also older shows don't look bad. Quit saying they do.
Old
they
show
don't.
bad.
God, I hate that narrative. So, like, it's a fantastic show, and also, like, man, now I really just want to finish Muv-Love. Good lord, but I don't have time, because I want to see more from Age.
Still gotta finish Dangan.
Anyways, yeah, so, like, there's a lot here that I really love. And yeah, the sound is great. The music is phenomenal. Love the music. The OP's a banger. The ED is great.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. Like, just don't fucking get spoiled on this show. And if you listen to this point, you better watch the whole fucking show, I swear to God.
You don't need to watch the show.
Shut the fuck up, Wob. Anyways, my score. I will preface this with Wob thought I'd give it like an 8. Maybe higher, I think you said. You best believe it's fucking higher, dog. It's not a 10. It's not a 10. It is a 9.5. Because it is
over the decimals.
Extremely close to a 10, that I couldn't put it with my 9s, though. Because it's so well crafted, and discussing it honestly, when we started this episode, it was a 9, but then the more we discussed it, the more we argued about shit, the more I was like, yeah, no, this is higher than a 9. But
part of me wants to roast you for that, but to be completely honest, last week Zombieland Saga went up 2 points while we were recording.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely love this show. And I would recommend it to anybody. And if you've seen it and you want to recommend it to somebody, here's what you should say. Because we discussed it and we figured out a way better like little thing, like a blurb about it than what I said at the beginning, because that was dog shit. Just tell people that it is a romance anime that after they get together, later develops into a three triangle. Shut up. It doesn't develop into a triangle. Bro, I'm tired and drunk, so... Well, I'm not drunk. I am, like, lightly tipsy, but still.
It is 3 a.m.
Yes. So, highly recommend it. And, you should all go watch it. That's my recommendation.
Not the biggest difference in scores on this show, but maybe second place.
Which one was the biggest?
Dude, there was a 7-point split on Nana, wasn't there?
I want to know. I know. I don't remember what show it was.
I think that was it. I think the 7 split on Nana was the highest difference.
Oh, I just heard there was a 7-point split, dog. I didn't hear you say Nana. Okay. Yeah, that was probably Nana, because Nana's dog
You
shit.
gave that a 3, right?
I think so. I'm
pretty
check
sure you
right
gave
now.
it a 3 because I put it at a 10, which I am thinking of reconsidering, but for now I'm leaving it. To be fair, if I reconsider, it's going to a 9, so I'm not dropping it much.
Let's see. Yeah, no, it's... God, it should not be a 10, dog. Oh, God,
It's probably closer to a 9 degree than a 10, but I'm not upset having it at a 10.
Wait.
Either way, this turned into what? This turned into a 4.5 gap, so that's probably our runner-up.
It's probably close, but I also did give that like stupid high school mystery show that we did like very early on a 2.
Episode 3, I think.
Yeah,
You gave
I did
that
give that one a 2.
Actually, yeah, and I would have given that a 7 or an 8, I think.
Yeah.
You talk about next week's show. I'm going to look that up.
Okay. Yeah, so next week is my choice. And we're sticking with the Kino, baby. We are sticking with that Kino.
I'm not excited for it.
Yeah. And just like good things. Easy fix. But next week we will be watching Paradise Kiss, which is another adaptation of a manga by the creator or the author who did Nana. And I'm not the garbage Nana we watched before, but like the GOAT Nana from 2006. Absolutely. Ai Yazawa. So we're going to be watching Paradise Kiss.
I gave Classroom of the Elite a 7. I just found it.
Well.
5 points beats 4.5 points. Good call.
Yep.
Anyway, continue.
But yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to it. I've only seen the first episode of Paradise Kiss, but I'm very excited because I absolutely love Nana. Nana is I believe it is one of my... Oh, yes, it is. Nana was a 10. And also, Nana doesn't really have an ending, so I'm very excited for Paradise Kiss. That I think the manga was finished, yes. So...
The only thing I know
forward
about
to
it is the description that I read on, I think, the AniList link that you sent me, and I don't have high hopes for it, I'll be honest.
Yeah, like I said, just like good things, and you'll be there.
Hey, well, not to tip my hand too much, I won't say a title, but at least you are going to agree with me on the episode after that. So
Maybe. You haven't seen it yet.
I have a feeling I'm not going to hate it.
Yeah, and if you do, boy, that'll be an episode. That's not for a little bit. So, yeah, next week's Paradise Kiss. So do you want to do the shill segment, or do you want me to?
I'll do it. I'm gonna speed run this.
Okay.
Okay. If you're listening to us on YouTube, try us out on Anchor or any other podcast platform where we can be more easily listened to on the go. If you're listening to us on one of the podcast platforms, check out YouTube where we do a video port of this so that you can see us while we discuss. Put us on our TV, on your TV. Don't put us on our TV. You don't have access to our TV.
Yeah, please. I would be terrified.
If you wish to support us, if you listen on Anchor or a subsidiary location thereof, we get a slight kickback off of ad reads. You can also, if you feel so inclined, directly donate to us. We do not require or expect that. But if you do feel moved to, go for it. And if you want shouted out for a donation, if you send a donation, you have the option, if you wish, to DM one of us on Twitter, which I'll get to that, with proof of having sent it or something, and we'll
the receipt.
Be like, yo, this person supported us. They're a cool dude. And we'll do that. Follow our other platforms. I am on Twitter as the Epic Wob. I post updates about the show, as well as occasionally put dumb 3 a.m. thoughts. Follow him at Seaweed AMB on Twitter. He retweets pictures.
And VTubers.
And pictures of VTubers.
And I tweet about all those things.
Check out his YouTube channel, Seaweed Ambassador. Or is it Wakame Ambassador?
No, it's Seaweed Ambassador.
Seaweed Ambassador, where he does AMVs and Thinking Man videos.
Big brain. Big brain time. Over at the Seaweed Ambassador channel.
And that is where those locations are where you can keep up with us in between our shows, which upload weekly on Saturdays. We don't usually say that, but our episodes go live Saturdays at 6 a.m. Not 6 a.m., 6 p.m.
Eastern,
because that changes with time zones.
Yes.
That wasn't a very good speed run. That took too long.
I think that was quicker than mine from last week, though, so...
Oh, that's because you ramble for like 6 hours.
Hey, gang. At least I like good shows. But in all seriousness, I think that's going to do it for this week.
Yeah, we will be back next week with episode 33, Paradise Kiss.
Yeah, look forward to it.
See you then.
Yep, bye-bye.